Good morning, everybody. How are you today? It's Chief Roca here in the Allentown Police Department podcast. I'd like to welcome you on this very happy Thursday. It's a little cold outside, but I think for the most part we're doing well. I have a special guest with me today. It's Captain John Christopher from the Fire Department. And Captain Christopher, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
About me, I've been with the department since April of '99. Kind of did a little bit of everything. My first 7 years spent as a firefighter. Mainly did a lot of the roof work. I was on a truck company most of the time. Then after that, I was a lieutenant at several houses around, pretty much all of them around Allentown. Did that, and in this position I took in 2012, and I've been doing this ever since.
What is this position that you're currently doing for the fire department?
Title's Captain of Public Affairs. It's an interesting position. I do all the public education in the city. We have our chief of training. He does our education, but for the public, I'll be doing anything from preschools to I've been doing all. You see these high rises going up in the city. I go in and train their fire wardens, put their emergency action plan in place. Any type of education. The other half of my job is I act as the public information officer for the Allentown Fire Department, and that's putting everything out to the media.
That's very important. So you empower really a lot of people to know how to be safe, especially when it comes to fire. Can you talk to me a little bit about what's so special about this month and the month of October relating to fire safety?
Well, October, as every year, it's our fire prevention month. It's the reason it's in October is that's the anniversary of the Great Chicago Fire.
Gotcha. That's
why I picked it. And if you know anything about that fire, it lasted for days. They lost over 7,000 structures during that fire. And when they investigated it afterwards, what they found out is people weren't practicing fire safety in their home. And that's what led to the spread of the fire. But also, certain equipment in the city wasn't being maintained. Like they couldn't get water from their main water source, which came from Lake Michigan, and things like that. So they said, well, okay, once a year they started their preventive maintenance program like that. So it worked for citizens and emergency services at the time.
So then out of a very tragic incident came some changes, and that was kind of followed throughout the United States and I'm sure around the world with the practice of safety, not only for our firefighters and public safety personnel, but also for our public and our citizens and our young people.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, in this type of profession, as you know, it usually takes some form of tragedy to then changes happen.
Gotcha.
Same thing with fire codes. You could probably put a name on why that code exists.
Got you. So regardless to say, it's very important for citizens to be involved, informed, and understand some of the safety measures to take in the sense of prevention. How can citizens in Allentown and beyond become involved in, kind of making themselves and their families safe from fires, safe from the various threats that are out there relating to the calls and types of responses that the fire department goes to?
Well, our biggest thing is early warning. The faster we get there, really the smaller the call is. Major fires wouldn't be happening. Like one of the things, smoke detectors. We've been hammering that for years. It's that early warning, and as far as the family's concerned, it gets you out. It gets us responding quicker. I know, like, if I wake up in the morning, I put FMZ on, and there's fatal fire somewhere, Easton, Reading, something like that, and then they showing pictures of the house and the charring. The first thing I think of, the first thing that pops in my mind is there are no smoke detectors. That's the major thing. The nice thing today, there's so many different forms of media. Like anything you want to know, you could, just Google it or YouTube or, you could be an expert on everything. So that information's available to you. It's very easy to research these days.
So if a community member has a question specifically to the Allentown Fire Department, you're saying they should go on the website. Is there information there that they can look at, or somebody they can contact?
Absolutely. All that information's on the website. Or it might be just as easy as you can stop over at your local firehouse, ask the guys, knock on, or meet the guys, meet the firemen who work in your neighborhood.
That's an awesome thing. I know that when I was a young dad and we had our young boy Michael, we went to the East Side Fire Station there, and he was enthralled with the Plime events.
Michael loves the Plime event. I know. I gave him the tour of that. He loves that.
And so then, it was really cool because then the Plime event company came out and actually got him a sweatshirt with the Plime event emblem on it, and he always compares, like, that's the baseline. The Allentown Fire Department over the East Side Fire Station. Much props to you guys out there working hard, doing the good stuff, along to keep our whole public safety message together and to save our residents and make sure that we're doing well. Speaking of fire safety and the fire prevention month that we're in now, what kind of tips can you provide to our residents that may have questions on not necessarily where to look, but things that they can kind of share with their family, with their residents? How can they encourage the growth of this so that we can improve the quality of life within our city?
Well, there's a few easy things you can do. One thing every family should do, if something did happen in the house, have a meeting place established. Where would that whole family go? And it doesn't have to be anything tricky. It just has to be a fixed location. Like, it could be at the telephone pole, by the street light, across the street on so-and-so's porch. Just so if you had to evacuate your home, it's very likely maybe someone went out the back door, someone went out the front door. But if you're standing across the street out front, you don't know so-and-so standing in the yard. And there are stories like that where people went back in for this, that, the other thing. We tell people never go back in. Once you're out, stay out. But having that fixed meeting location, and that's something you could pick a spot during dinner tonight and let everyone know. Because, I said a fixed point. Don't pick the neighbor's car because the neighbor might not be home.
True.
But,
true.
Yeah, that is the biggest thing. Because as firefighters... that was the first thing I would ask on an engine when you pulled up. Is everyone out? Is anyone in there? Because other than that, so what? It's just a fire. We'll put it out. They all go out. But we want to make sure everyone's safe. That's the number one thing. But other little things are like check your smoke detectors. We battery operated smoke detectors. We tell people when you change the clock, change the battery. Do it twice a year. Put new batteries in there. If it's hardwired smoke detector with a battery backup, now that could be changed yearly.
Gotcha.
But the one thing people, and a lot of people are doing that and they're good at it, one thing people don't do though is you should be testing those smoke detectors monthly. They all have a test button on. Just push it, make sure it's working, because a lot of smoke detectors these days, as well as carbon monoxide detectors, have a 10-year battery in. It's sealed lithium. You put it up and forget about it.
And so recently there was an incident involving carbon monoxide in a daycare, and with the very awesome response of the fire department with the detectors that they had. I always talk about training, I always talk about equipment, and I talk about manpower. And our public safety came together that day, EMS, fire, police, and everybody did their part to save lives. Now, you brought up about carbon monoxide detectors. Can you talk to our community about what that means and how simple it is really to protect yourself with carbon monoxide detectors?
Oh, absolutely. And it's something I've been stressing since I've been in this position, but especially this time of year. Everyone asks, when do you have your fires? When's your busiest time of year? And I never can answer that. But I could tell you for carbon monoxide, it's every year at this time when people are firing up their oil burners, their gas furnaces for the first time. And carbon monoxide is so tricky because you literally have no warning. It's colorless, odorless, tasteless. All you have is that detector.
Gotcha.
And again, smoke detectors in this line of work save lives. I'm not trying to talk down about smoke, but if we're sitting in this small room here, and if something started smoldering in a garbage can or something, we would notice that before the detector ever got activated.
Correct.
If you have a problem with your heating system or a bird's nested in your chimney over the summer and it's partially blocked, and we were getting poisoned, we'd have no way of knowing that. The only way of knowing that's with a detector. And that's why they are so important. And it really, anyone, especially anyone who uses any type of fossil fuels, gas, oil, to heat their home, you're at risk of having a carbon monoxide incident, because that's what carbon monoxide is. It's a product of incomplete combustion.
Okay.
So anything, like I said, anything with an exhaust is going to give carbon monoxide out. We run into problems when people run generators during power outages. Keep them away from the windows, keep them away from the dryer vent, because that exhaust will come in.
So be mindful about where the exhaust is going, especially if you're running a generator. And there's been cases in Allentown in the past where neighborhoods have lost power and they've probably used generators. So it's important to think about these things beforehand in the spirit of prevention, in the spirit of safety, and also to educate our public and our community.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's what happens, when we do have an event such as we had Sandy or that crazy October storm that year where we lost power. People went out and bought generators, and there's a carbon monoxide warning in all the instruction manuals, but most people are like me. You read that instruction manual far enough to where it tells you how to start it, and then you stop.
Kind of like when it gets too hot and you throw the air conditioner in the window, you plug and play, and you just hit that power button and you're off getting cooled. So there's additional steps then to make sure to read and understand the piece of equipment that you're using.
Absolutely. And those warnings, unfortunately, are usually at the end of the manual. So,
Absolutely.
But yeah, we've had that happen. And like I said, the detectors, they're out there that anywhere you sell smoke detectors. I was on Walmart's page the other day looking at them. You could get them, and they run anywhere from, I think it was $13 up to $50.
Gotcha.
And again, that $50 detector, just like that was the one I was talking about with the sealed lithium battery. So actually, in 10 years, you'd spend more than $50 on batteries if you're changing them. So they're really not expensive.
So it's pretty a low-cost, efficient thing that people can do to keep themselves safe, their family safe, and also to be an early warning. Like you mentioned,
early and only warning.
Correct,
really.
Early and only. You mentioned, like, if we saw a small rubbish fire in a can, we'd be able to tell the smoke right away, maybe even before the detector hits it.
Yep.
This way, we don't have that luxury because it's colorless, odorless, and you don't know it until it's like you start feeling physical symptoms.
Absolutely, and if you have a problem with your heat, and it could be like anything, a heat exchanger. I've seen this. A heat exchanger could go, and basically in an oil gas furnace that goes, it's pumping out pure CO. We had a family that happened to. They were all eating breakfast, feeling ill, so they went to the emergency room and they had high levels of carbon monoxide in their system. We went, and sure enough, that's what happened. The house is completely, actually, the levels were so high we fried our first meter that went in there. And now, had that happened at 2 a.m, no one would have woke up. So it really is, like I said, it really is, that's really the only warning you're going to get. And from something I've noticed, just doing this job, we run on a lot of calls. A lot of them are nothing. A lot of them are false alarms. So especially smoke detectors, it's happened to everyone. You're cooking, your smoke detector goes off.
Sure.
Steam from the shower, your smoke detector goes off. When we go on a carbon monoxide detector, that's because there's carbon monoxide present. That's the only, we're not getting the false alarms from those.
Right.
They're getting tripped because there's carbon monoxide in the atmosphere. And the nice thing, you don't have to be, they're a little easier to install than smoke detectors. Smoke detectors you want at a certain place in the ceiling or high on the wall, they're because of the smoke rising. Carbon monoxide mixes completely with the atmosphere. Some detectors, like the one I have, a plug-in one, but it also has a stand. I could put that right on like an end table and it's going to work.
Gotcha. No, so that's very good advice, and thank you for the information for that. Our community is absolutely appreciative of that. So the fire department, the police department have always enjoyed a good working relationship, and I think that's key in these successful partnerships that we have. Because it's about saving lives, it's about serving our community, and it's about doing good things for the community at large. In your experience, what's a good memory that you have within the fire department that you wouldn't mind speaking about to the community of over your career so far?
It's almost I like any time all of us, fire, police, EMS, get to work together, because like you said, it does go well. We do have great working relationships. I don't understand certain other cities. That's not always present there. I mean, you know that, and it's almost like we all. And I guess this is true to fact. We all work for the same quote unquote company. Correct. We're just in different departments. And a good case in point was this last CO incident at the daycare. That could have been tragic, but it had a lot going on, evacuation, transport of a lot of patients. That went so smoothly because of the way fire, police, and especially EMS worked that day. I mean, EMS knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely.
The way they immediately set up the treatment and triage and got all those ambulances. We had ambulances coming in from 7 different municipalities that day.
Unbelievable coordination.
Yeah, it was something. It was actually, obviously it's tragic. You don't want anyone hurt, but it was something to watch from a emergency services standpoint. Just the way, and like I said, we're always getting it done.
And I think it builds legitimacy with our community because they want to know if there's a problem. They call 911. They expect police, fire, EMS for whatever the issue might be, and it's absolutely gold that we are there to serve our community and to let people know that we might even inspire future generations to become public safety servants within the city of Allentown. And the point that I want to make too is we're not working in silos. It's not just the fire department, the police department, EMS. We're all in this together. We have a mission. We accomplish it in different ways over time, but it's something that we all have to do and work together. And with that, do you have any final remarks or closing that you want to provide to our community?
No, like I said, I just make it make fire safety a point. It doesn't have to be anything special. You could sit down. It's what you talk about at dinner tonight with the kids. Have that meeting place. Show your children where are the smoke detectors. Oh, here, push the test button. Show them what they sound like. Things like that. It's minor stuff, but it goes a long, long way. If that worst case scenario ever happens.
Excellent advice. Thank you. And on behalf of the Allentown Police Department, I'd like to thank Chief Augusto for having you on here. And I'd like to thank you yourself, Captain Christopher, for coming on to our podcast. Please stay tuned, community. We're going to be transitioning shortly to the crime stat information session. It'll be a small break. Have a great time, and we'll see you shortly. Hello and welcome back. Now we're going to move on to the podcast portion. We had a special guest, Captain John Christopher from the Fire Department. Para nuestra comunidad hispano, tenemos un capitán de los bomberos aquí que estaba hablando para safety y cosas así para la comunidad, como detectores de fuego, del humo, de cosas así. So, es importante que nuestra comunidad está calmado y todo así. Y él dijo un buen aviso para poner esas cosas en su casa, como detectors y cosas así. So what I said is I just wanted to talk to our community who does speak Spanish to just let them know that we had Fire Captain John Christopher here to talk about fire safety, fire prevention, and that, make sure that we have the detectors working in there. Very simple piece of technology and equipment, but something, as he said, which was striking to me is that it's colorless, odorless, And the only way to detect is through those detectors. So very important point, ladies and gentlemen. It's something that we want to focus on. But getting to the police-related matters, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being with us for almost another year now. We're moving into November. The podcast's a little late. It's been a little bit busy in the city on various different fronts. So I just want to make sure that, we don't forget about this and we keep our community informed, because I said from the beginning, we're going to stay engaged with you. We're going to be transparent as we can, and we're going to be able to do that. One of the things I want to start with is our crime stat update. Crime stats, some things are up related to that, and it has to be with theft. It's important that we remember the message that we put out at 9 p.m. Our violent crime is reduced at 7.35%. Our proactive patrols year to date, you can see, is about almost 17,300 calls. Firearms seized, a very important number. There are 219 firearms off the street. And so those are weapons that don't get into the hands of individuals that would choose to utilize that out in the street in the community, causing harm to our people and our other residents. Calls for service, we have that number is a little bit low right now. We're close to 75,000 at this year to date right now. So our officers are responding to the calls, and I want to kind of talk about our calls for service, because in some ways I hear the talk about we should probably be putting some types of calls to other agencies or type of responders or things of that nature. But I want to say one thing: police officers are an integral and important part of that relationship. And although we aren't trained therapists or doctors or anything of that nature, we are first responders. And with that training that we get, we're able to communicate with people, we're able to interact appropriately, and we're able to do so professionally. And one of the things that I want to say is that my hat is off to our very professional men and women that are out there day in and day out, providing a service to the community and doing the right thing. If there's a call for service, something comes along that you think is an issue or a problem, there is ways to address those. Contact our police department, contact the shift supervisor. We follow up on any complaints that may happen. But at the end of the day, we are committed to a culture of professionalism and excellence. And having said that, it's about those relationship building, and we're actively working to hire more police officers and recruit more police officers. But I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But having those firearms recovered, I think is huge in preventing some violent crime that's out there. The dirt bike calls are also trending downward. If you do see them, please make sure that you're notifying us through our various ways of contact, through phone call, email, tip 411, all the various methods that you are well aware of, so that we can go ahead and make sure that we're doing the right thing and we're getting these illegal vehicles off the street. And the thing that I want to talk about is the good work that's being done by our men and women in the police department. A lot of people are being taken into custody for crimes that are being committed in our community. I will not tolerate a degradation into lawlessness. I want to repeat that. I will not tolerate a degradation into lawlessness. That's not who I'm about. That's not what this department is about. If there is a crime that occurs, we are going to work to hold that person accountable. But it takes help from the community to ensure that that maintains, because we need evidence. We need people to come forward when things happen or when things are about to occur. I would much prefer an incident not come into fruition where it could be prevented. And that can be accomplished by a couple of ways: by working with our community groups, by working with our anti-violence organizations, by making sure that our community knows who to contact and how to make sure that, things that come up that could be a concern, we are aware of, because that's how we work together. We make those relationships. And as far as the patrol shift, they've been very busy. They've been going from call to call. Our numbers are improving slightly. We have slightly more officers than what I've reported last time, and we're working to hit our full complement, which is 228 officers. So I look forward to that and making sure that that happens. With our community engagement pieces, we very much want to say that that is also a priority, because we want to have an established relationship with our community out there, and being able to do that is something that's positive. Our community outreach unit is something that is relatively new. They've been around for probably about a year now. But the thing is that we're going to grow that. We're going to grow our investigations. We're going to grow our patrol, because what I'm hearing out in the community, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm hearing that we need more of a police presence. And I am committed to providing that. I know that Mayor Turk is committed to providing that. And I know that we want to make sure that safety is a priority in our community. We talk about what makes a city livable, what makes a city outstanding, and it's absolutely public safety. And so we're going to make, in the three-prong investment that I have in my head, is manpower, technology, and equipment. You saw how that worked properly. We mentioned the carbon monoxide incident over at the daycare. 3 of our public safety agencies responded, police, fire, EMS, and they did an absolutely outstanding, phenomenal job in preventing any tragedy in that situation. So I give kudos to the workers that fielded the call that day, and to the people that experienced it. I hope for a speedy recovery if you're suffering from anything else from that. But, we want to make sure that the community and the public understands that we are committed to improving our quality of life here in the city of Allentown. On September 9th, past month, we conducted many traffic operations throughout the city, also in the area of the Deeriff High School, because, sometimes people, when they get behind the motor vehicle, they decide that a lead foot is more important than obeying the speed limit or the laws that are posted out there. And when you have a driver's license, you have a responsibility. And I think having responsibility equates to being able to live up to that standard. We have a photo over there with an officer that's conducting a vehicle stop of vehicles that were going too fast or violating the law on a stop sign, stop light, traffic control device. So that's something that is absolutely phenomenal. And I know that this is something that we are going to be doing throughout the city. I want to let you know on a little secret, community. We are going to be doing some operations with the state police where we're going to be using radar. I said that, yes, radar. So if you're looking to speed in the city, be prepared to get stopped and get a sizable ticket for that violation. We very much want to slow down. We very much want to obey the speed limit. We want to drive in a safe community where you're obeying the traffic control devices, where you're operating, where you have a clear vision, and you're focused on driving. Some of the accidents that I see that happen is from distracted driving, where people are on a cell phone, or you're changing the radio channel, or engage in conversation with somebody in the back seat. I've seen it. So it's important to think about that. Just those little things when you're driving. We're not perfect. We're human. We make mistakes sometimes, but don't let that mistake lead to a catastrophe. And I think through an ounce of prevention is worth it, right? So that's a good thing. On September 11th, we celebrated and remembered those that passed before us, our citizens, people of our world community, our service members, our fire, our police, our EMS. It was truly a tragedy when that happened. We will never forget. I will never forget those incidents, because I think it was a blow against what the ideals of America is. And that's for us as a people to come together to work in a united way and not a divided way. This is not the divided states of America. It's the United States of America. And I don't mean to preach, but I want to say again that I very much support our USA, one of the best countries in the world, and somewhere where you can achieve your dreams. And it's something that I'm going to get into in a little bit. But on September 12th, we celebrated National Police Women Day. The hardworking women that are in our department are trailblazers, as those who have come before them, because in this instance, it's the best man or woman is appropriate for the job. And I encourage those who want to have a career in law enforcement or leadership positions really in any established business organization to seek those things. Take that step. I'm looking at you and telling you, you are good enough. Don't let anybody tell you you're not. Get those certifications, move forward, and be the leader that you can be. There's going to probably be detractors at some point during your career or your pathway to what you want to achieve, but don't let the naysayers drown your day. This is about what you can accomplish to better our society, better our community. And, don't think to yourself that, it's too much hassle or too much work. Make that effort, go forward. You never know how that's going to happen. As we move on to September 23rd, we were recruiting at the Iron Pigs. We're looking for the best. We had some officers out there. We had a stand up there. I saw some postings on Facebook that people were kind of upset because they didn't know about it. But we are engaged. We have Officer Diaz, Officer Campanelle there. They're with our table. We're looking for the best, and our recruiting is open right now for the Allentown Police Department. And it's key to know that, we want people that want to work. We want people that want to change for the better, to embrace this culture of professionalism and excellence. When you think of Sesame Street, for example, you have different characters on there, and there's a song. I'm not going to sing it because I'm not a singer, but, it's kind of like the people that you meet when you're walking down the street, and I think you can look that up on Google, as with everything. And, in that little skit, in that song, they have, you meet the firefighter, you meet the police officer, the doctor. So there's a lot of people out there in the community that have different jobs, and everybody is important in meeting that goal. And that's something that's key. But our current recruiting, part is open right now. It started on October 17th. And with that, we want to get the message out, not only through this podcast, but the actual application is available on our website. You just have to go to the front page, click it, and it guides you to where it's at. If you have any questions, reach out to Sergeant Leonard at apdcommunity.org.gov, and we'll be able to get that to you. It says right there, we're hiring, apply today. The human resources link is there. And as a matter of fact, tomorrow, Friday, I'll be on La Mega, that's 101.7 FM at 9:30 in the morning, to give a message about, that we're recruiting, we're hiring, and that we want the best to join Allentown Police Department. And always, you might think like, maybe I can step into that role. Give it a shot. You never know. And I'm talking to recent graduates from college, people that just, maybe ended their military career and are looking to do something. Policing is an excellent career and something where it's a solid occupation. Next Wednesday on the 26th, we'll be at Latina FM at 9 o'clock. They're on 92.1 FM. So I look forward to being on both radio broadcasts and getting our message out there. And if you happen to be in the area at that time and you turn on the radio for tomorrow at 101.7, tune in and we're going to have a conversation, as well as on next Wednesday at 9 o'clock at Latina FM, so that we can communicate about recruiting opportunities, the impact it has had in your own personal life, being a police officer, and those type of things. On the September 29th, we went to Builder and Hardware Incorporated. Thank you for the very generous donation for the PAL program. You guys rock. Investing in the city is absolutely phenomenal. Investing in its resources is great. Here is a generous check donation that they provided to us. We're joined by the team over there. So thank you guys. It's very much appreciated. I can't say how lucky we are to have this outpouring of generosity, not for us, but for our kids, for our children. They are our future. That's the focus that we're going to have to be able to move our city forward, our department forward. Upcoming, or actually I want to talk about a little bit community engagement that we did recently. And since it's in October, you might hear it next month too, but I was very happy to be part of a Husky reunion where we celebrated the celebration for the 30th anniversary of our East Penn Conference Championship from Deerfield High School. So it was great to see old teammates, coming through at J. Bernie Crum Stadium, and even seeing the new Siberian Husky Kiska 6. Great to see that. Great to see the school spirit, and congratulations to Deerfield on that day for winning handedly on in the homecoming game. It was truly a sight to see. Principal McCool, outstanding car you were operating during that time. You got to give me a ride in that one day. But I look for, maybe we can make some police cars in that same way. I believe it was a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. I can't remember which, but it was outstanding. So good to see that. Thank you guys for that. And then just this past week, I was able to attend a heritage panel for the Spanish National Honor Society and the Multicultural Club at Deerfield. Thank you for having me, Principal McCool. Again, gracious host, appreciate it. This was an event that wasn't geared by the teaching staff. This was by the students, the bright young minds there at Deerfield. absolutely just impressed me. The questions that they asked were thought-provoking. The energy that they had to achieve dreams that they want to accomplish is, it's encouraging. So there is a very good thing happening in the Allentown School District, and we can support and empower our young people so that they can be our future leaders of tomorrow. Anything that we can do to support that mission, we're going to be there. We're going to be neck and neck with you, because I want to be these guys. I want to see these young people be successful, and I want to see them achieve the things that they want to achieve. Upcoming community events. The PAL Halloween party is going to be, it was on October 17th. The PAL car wash fundraiser at Mac South was postponed. I believe we had some weather issues there. And as far as school crossing guards, they're still looking to hire some more. It's important that we have, crosswalks covered for our young people. The police department does cover those crosswalks as well, but, we have an excessive amount, probably 50 plus, that are covered. And Allentown is a walking district, so you can see the contact information there. And if you are interested, please pass the word, and we can go ahead and get that done. Upcoming, we talk about the hiring, the scheduled community meetings. So we're in mid-month, obviously. There's a meeting tonight at Overlook Park at 5:30. Our fire department is going to be there as well. Captain Christopher and I were talking about that just before. But we have the community meetings that are scheduled there. And if you're interested or live in that area of the community meeting, you're more than welcome to attend. You'll get a crime stat update. We'll provide you with some information or contacts to what you want to accomplish and talk about. Because, listen, relational policing is what I embrace. We want to develop those relationships so our community has that trust in us. And if you have any questions relating to the community meetings, reach out to our outreach team, and you can reach them out at 610-437-7741. Ask for Sergeant Williams or Sergeant Leonard. And then we also have, our crime prevention flyers, because we want to remind people that the issues that come up, such as dirt bikes or any suspicious activity, that we report these things to the police department, and so that way we can take a look. And our officers are out there patrolling and looking at different things, but we want to make sure that we're doing it in conjunction and in collaboration with our community. And then for our 9 p.m. initiative, I want to have Detective Garcia talk a little bit about that, because I know it's been going on and we've been doing it for how long now, Detective Garcia?
I want to say since early summer, but I want to thank everybody for joining on. This was a great, great conversation with the captain and, the chief, really with his interview skills. I love his interview skills because it's good conversation. But we want to thank everybody for coming on. Yeah, the 9 p.m. routine is something that, we really are really pushing. As the chief mentioned, theft is one of our issues in our city. And so if we can do a little bit on our part, for instance, just like you see in the flyer, take your valuables out of your car, lock your car's doors in your homes. If you need to leave a porch light on, things like that, and then not only that, get the word out. Let your neighbors know, let your family know, hey, let your son know or your daughter, did you lock the car? Did you remove that bag from the back? And sometimes we leave things just like everybody else. We leave things that are empty, an empty bag, but criminals don't work that way. They see that and they take the opportunity, and then you wake up in the morning, hardworking person going to work, and now you have to deal with a broken window and possibly something taken. So let's all work together to continue to do that. The chief has really embraced, the administration has really embraced this initiative, along with many other initiatives, and our officers are out there trying to help out as well. So please just let's share this anytime you see it, and thank you so much.
Detective Garcia, thank you. And you talked about people making choices to commit crimes. So I'm very interested in the prevention aspect. Just so we talked about fire prevention for October, I want to talk about crime prevention, right? And I think it's important that, we work together to get that, because it helps to change hearts and minds dealing with crime. Crime is not the answer to get out of situations, right? It creates more problems, it creates more issues, because a person is put in jail, arrested, locked up, whatever the case may be, and they're found guilty in a court of law. It's not just that person that does the time; it's their family. They're missing their relative or friend or that type of relationship. But it's key that we work together to kind of reduce that amount of crime that may be out there, and that we work on collaborative solutions where police where the police department is engaged in that as well, where we're going to be tough on crime. We're going to hold people to a standard because the laws are there for a purpose, to keep our community safe, to keep us in check, and we are not above the law. My expectation is that our officers are abiding by the law as well. That comes to driving, that comes to parking, that comes to everything that's under the sun. We are not special more so than anybody else. We're human. We all have our constitutional rights, and that is the gauging factor right there, the rights granted to us by the Constitution of the United States. So please know that we're here for each other. Please know that we're going to do the right things. Please know that we're going to have some more things to unveil shortly. When we're able to speak on that, I will inform our community. But I just want to say that we have our budget season upcoming, and we have some very good investments that we are putting forth into public safety. And I just want to recognize the fact that, yes, I do understand that the police department does have a huge margin in the budget, but I will tell you, for the most part, throughout the years, the investment in the police department was not there. Now we're pointed in that direction. And I think it's key to do that three-pronged strategy, which I talked about, which is investment in manpower, equipment, and training. By having that three coming together, we can be a very much of an embracive partner in achieving a lot of the goals that we have set forth at the start of my administration here as the police chief. And I want to make sure that you all come along with me on this journey. We might not agree on everything, but one thing I will agree on and hope that people agree with me is that public safety is the number one priority. And the steps that I am taking is to better our city in relation to public safety, to engagement, to transparency, and to making sure that as a community we rise together. And with that, have a blessed day, and thank you, everybody.